was born in Worthington, West Virginia, January 1918. That was a long time ago. Typically, parents, my mother was at home all the time. My father was in the restaurant business, and I used to help him a little bit, wash dishes, clean up.
Where were your parents originally from?
Asia Minor.
Turkey.
I was in Turkey.
What?
My father came over first, and then he brought my mother later.
So Weirton itself was a mining town, is that right?
It was steel and a mining town, and that's what made me leave. Because see, my future was going into the mining or going into the steel mill. 18 years old. Then I figured I'd better go and find something better than a steel mill. So that's when I left and came to Baltimore. So I ended up in the same type restaurant business. Stayed there for many years, different places. Eventually I ended up working for Westinghouse, at different positions. And then when I finished there, I remember we had it was during the war, and they kept me out of the war because I was in a position of helping out there. I don't know what it was, because I know that the bosses told me you're staying here right now. So that's what I did. After that, my luck changed, and I met my wife.
That did it.
That did it. That was the most wonderful thing in the world. It couldn't have happened. And I was never ready for it. I was 27 years old. They sued her mother and my mother knew each other, and they would visit one another occasionally. And I would take her down there because she didn't drive, and I used to sit and talk to her. But she was 17 years old, and I was not even interested. I was 27. I wasn't interested. And what made me push is my mother, every time I would go home, she would sit opposite me while I was eating, and she'd pull out the pad with all these names, Mary, Carol, Joanna. I got tired of listening to them every day. I said, what for? She says, you got to do something. So there's one day she happened to say, Angie. And I said, oh, nothing more. 2 days later, she came back. She says, her family wanted to talk to you. I says, what for? Well, she says, you said, and I figured it was okay. So I had a date. I never went with anybody before. I used to go out and take them out, and that's it. But this time I happened to have a date that Sunday. That Sunday they wanted me to go to the house. So I went down to the house to talk to them and see what they wanted. 20 minutes later, I was engaged. Just like that.
You gotta be kidding.
No, that was it.
Never went on a date, nothing.
Nothing. I never went on anything. And it was almost impossible to believe that I actually said yes. Of course, I knew her as a young kid, that's it. But I figured it can't be wrong. It was okay. And it turned out to be, this coming June will be 65 years. And it's the best years I ever had.